With the Year of Shadow having come to a close in 2025, some in the Sonic community have been wondering, should any other Sonic characters get an entire year dedicated to them? What about Silver? He seems like a logical choice, but also maybe a risky one? Maybe the Year of Tails or Knuckles? The Year of Shadow was a massive success for Sonic Team and Sega, but that's also because Shadow the Hedgehog is almost as popular as the Blue Blur himself. Plus, the entire reason that the Year of Shadow even came about was because of the third Sonic movie. So any other characters that should get an entire year dedicated to them should have some major event taking place that makes sense for them to have an entire year dedicated all to themselves. And if we're going based on how the Year of Shadow was chosen, that being the Sonic movies, then the only two logical choices are Amy Rose or Metal Sonic. Now, I'm not really here to say that one character is inherently better than the other and deserves the year more. I know Amy has a huge fanbase, shout out Amy Rose fans. But if either of them were to get their own year, is it not only possible, but necessary? Now let me just start this off by saying, if I had the choice between a year of Amy or a year of Metal Sonic, well, yeah, I'd be picking Metal Sonic. Nothing against Amy, but I just find Metal Sonic to be more of an interesting choice here given the possibilities. Amy has already started to become more recognized as the fourth member of Team Sonic, so while I do think they could easily make an entire year dedicated to Amy, I personally think that Metal Sonic needs it more. Metal Sonic has kinda been relegated to spin-off games as of recently. Besides Sonic Forces, if you really want to say that counts, it doesn't. And maybe Sonic Mania? But both of those will be a decade old once the fourth movie comes out, and Amy was in Sonic Frontiers, Sonic Origins Plus as DLC, and Sonic Superstars since then. Meanwhile, Metal Sonic has been in Team Sonic Racing, Sonic Colors Ultimate, Shadow Generations as Metal Overlord? So yeah, I think it'd be nice to see Metal Sonic back in at least some sort of spotlight again, which the fourth movie will hopefully do, hence why I'm even asking the question, should there be a year of Metal Sonic? So while I do think that Amy has a pretty good reason for having her own year, I personally think that Metal Sonic deserves it just a bit more. And also, who really knows, maybe they'd do a year of Metal Sonic and Amy Rose at the same time. Also, I know Amy is a very popular character, but I do think that on a general level, people will probably gravitate more towards Metal Sonic over Amy Rose. Not saying that I would or that it's better or worse, just trying to think objectively here. So yes, let's assume that this hypothetical year of is indeed a year of Metal Sonic, not Amy Rose, even though I think either one or both would be just as good. So the year of Metal Sonic, should it be 2026 or 2027? Well, with Sonic Movie 4 releasing pretty early on in 2027, I think it'd be better to have the Year of Metal Sonic start around March of 2026, and then extend into 2027 just long enough to hit the fourth movie's release. If we want to look at the Year of Shadow as a reference, there's tons of different things that could come from a Year of Metal Sonic, but most importantly, I think we should be looking at what the new remaster, or potentially even an entirely new game, would be. For the Year of Shadow, we got Shadow Generations, which was basically an entirely new game, technically a remaster of Sonic Gens, but the Shadow part was all brand new. So what games that include Metal Sonic could do something similar? Well, you have the most obvious one, which is Sonic CD, Metal Sonic's debut game, and hey, you'd also be able to get some nice Amy representation out of it that way, but Sonic CD was also just recently remastered with Sonic Origins, and yeah, 2027 would make that a bit of a gap, but is it really a long enough time that it's remaster worthy? Don't ask PlayStation. I don't think we need a Sonic CD remaster or remake. We've already gotten it twice, and had Amy as a playable DLC character with Origins Plus, so while it would be an okay choice for a Year of Metal Sonic remaster, I think there's one other game that would be a lot better suited for this hypothetical remaster, Sonic Heroes, the other mainline Sonic game that features Metal Sonic as the primary villain, and is also in dire need of a remaster, or a remake, or even just a port really, anything at this point. Sonic Heroes features Metal Sonic as the secret twist villain at the end, not really a secret, but like sort of plot-wise, which leaves this game open to any number of additions that Sonic Team could make if they remastered the game. Metal Sonic doesn't really do anything at all until the final story of the game, so why not add on a Metal Sonic story and go into more detail about how he was able to overpower Dr. Eggman and imprison him? They could even add on entirely new levels, or at least new sections of levels, to Metal Sonic specifically so that he could work as a solo team of his own. Then it'd be more like JakeCenZ where there was some actual new content, not just replaying the game a fifth time as Metal Sonic, because I know that is entirely a possibility, and I do not want to have to do that. I also think a Sonic Heroes remaster in general is just like a really good idea, considering it's now one of the only Sonic games left without a remaster, remake, or PC port, and I think it has a lot to gain from one of those. Heroes isn't necessarily seen as one of the most beloved Sonic games of all time. Sure, it has its fans, I'm one of them, but it's also not as loved as something like Sonic Generations or Sonic Adventure 2. So I think a remaster that really fixes a bunch of the issues that people have with the game could be a great way to make Heroes truly shine as the game it could be, because I do think it has potential to be a lot of people's favorite Sonic game, but the barrier to entry is a little bit too high for some. Whether that comes from the lack of a proper port, or just the buggy jankiness of the game, maybe both honestly, can be solved with a remaster of Sonic Heroes, and in this hypothetical year of Metal Sonic, they could definitely do something with the fact that Metal Sonic is the main villain of the game, and add on some extra content that features him specifically. I do really like the idea of Metal going through levels solo, since he gets defeated by the power of teamwork at the end of the game. So now that we have our character, and we have our game, what's the benefit outside of that of having a year of Metal Sonic? Well, I briefly touched on it near the beginning, but I think a year of Metal Sonic could do some major work for his character, much like it did for Shadow. Now, I don't think the damage to Metal Sonic's character is nearly as severe as it was for Shadow, but I think a lot of it mostly just comes from the lack of appearances that Metal Sonic has had in the Sonic series. He was supposed to be this equal to Sonic, able to challenge his speed and power, yet the only two games he really does this in are in Sonic CD, which he loses to Sonic in, and Sonic Heroes, which is actually one of his best appearances, like by a mile. I don't know how he is in the Rivals games, I haven't played those, so if he's good there, then I'll play him maybe sometime, I don't know. So if the fourth Sonic movie does Metal Sonic some justice, then I think Sonic Team will want to be capitalizing on that in their next game by hopefully making Metal Sonic actually exist again, not as an illusion from the Phantom Ruby, or as some classic Sonic side character, or as spin-off fodder, but as an actual villain again, a threat to Sonic, and hopefully the rest of the cast just like he was in Sonic Heroes. You can have him actually work alongside Dr. Eggman this time, that's perfectly fine and I think that dynamic would be super fun, but I just want him to actually prove himself as a menacing threat once again. I said the same thing about Shadow the Hedgehog before the Year of Shadow, that I love the idea and previous iterations of the character, but before the Year of Shadow, most of Shadow's modern appearances made him look stupid and one-dimensional, which ruined the character for a lot of people, including me. The Year of Shadow thankfully fixed almost every problem that I had with Shadow, so if Metal Sonic is in a similar boat to what Shadow was in, why not make a Year of Metal Sonic and give him the same treatment as Shadow? Make Metal Sonic an actual character again. Give him reasons to exist outside of spin-offs. Make Metal Sonic menacing. If we don't get a Sonic Heroes remaster, or if we do get a new Sonic game featuring Metal Sonic, my biggest hope is that he actually gets to do something for once, and is able to take the spotlight, which I feel like he hasn't done in quite a while. So should there be a year of Metal Sonic? Well, I don't actually know if it's possible for Sega to devote an entire year to Metal Sonic. Like I said with Shadow, his was only possible because his popularity is almost equal to Sonic's own popularity, and while I do think that Metal Sonic is a really cool character, I just don't know if he has the same financial or marketing pull that Sonic and Shadow do. Does that mean there shouldn't be a Sonic Heroes remaster, or that Metal Sonic shouldn't get more time in the spotlight? Absolutely not. I think at the minimum, there needs to be a Heroes remaster, and if Sega is smart, they'll still at least want to capture some of the hype from Sonic Movie 4, so they should definitely make a new Sonic game featuring Metal Sonic to some degree. Not a spin-off, not just a minor DLC addition to whatever the next mainline game is. I'm talking about some real impact here. I want to see Metal Sonic be threatening, and I want to see it during a potential year of Metal Sonic. And if there isn't one that happens, well, who cares, I still want to see it anyways. Bring Metal Sonic back into the spotlight, and give him the Shadow treatment, because I really do think that he deserves it. Thanks for watching me ramble about a hypothetical year of Metal Sonic that might not even become a thing. But hey, it's all in good fun. Plus, all of what I said in this video can still be true, even if there isn't a year of Metal Sonic. Feel free to subscribe if you want to see more of my Sonic content, and drop a like on this video if you enjoyed it, and with that, I'll see you next time.